What's up everyone, Stars are here coming at you with another review. In today's review, we're taking a look at Once Upon a Puppet for the Nintendo Switch. We're going to set the stage, we're going to grab our script, and we're going to dig into this review. Let's go. Let's start with what Once Upon a Puppet actually is. It's a 2.5D puzzle platformer where you play as Drev and Nieve, a puppet and a weaver who've been discarded to the mysterious understage by the king. One of the coolest touches right from the start is that Drev and Nieve are connected by a magical string, and it's more than just visual flair. This string ties directly into the movement, puzzle solving, and overall feel of the game. You really do feel like you're controlling a puppet, being guided along through a larger, mysterious production. It's a clever and immersive design choice that reinforces the game's theatrical theme. Across 9 chapters, you'll be solving puzzles, platforming through creative environments, and repairing theatrical stages, all while uncovering the story behind Drev and Nieve's past. Your ultimate goal? To discover what happened to the king, find the missing prince, unravel the hidden backstory between your two leads, and restore peace to a kingdom left in disarray. This game is a roller coaster, full of highs and lows. So let's start on a high note, the story. Without giving anything away, Once Upon a Puppet has one of the best narratives I've seen in an indie game in a long time. It genuinely had me hooked from start to finish. The way the story unravels is clever, emotional, and totally worth experiencing blind. And honestly, that's all I really want to say about it. It's a great story and I don't want to spoil a single moment of it. The gameplay itself revolves around traversing a series of theatrical chapters, each one styled like a stage play. As you progress, you unlock a variety of upgrades that expand your movement and puzzle solving abilities. We're talking everything from a double jump to swinging across gaps with handles to even launching yourself across the screen with a slingshot mechanic, all using the strings that are connected between Drev and Nieve. What surprised me most is that none of these abilities feel wasted. The game actually uses all of them, and it uses them well. In addition to movement upgrades, you also unlock 3 key items: a bow and arrow, an ice climbing pickaxe, and a flashlight. Each one serves a unique purpose, especially during the game's standout puzzle segments. These puzzles revolve around repairing damaged scenes, which are basically broken set pieces you have to fix in order to reveal more of the story. You'll drag, rearrange, and activate elements using your tools to restore the scene to its proper state. Once everything is aligned, the scene plays out like a mini play, revealing another piece of the narrative. I honestly thought this mechanic would get repetitive, but it doesn't really. It gave me seriously early 2000s puzzle game vibes, the kind where you're really encouraged to think and experiment. And thanks to how strong the story is, every puzzle felt like it mattered. Watching a repaired scene come to life was always satisfying. There are also a bunch of collectibles hidden throughout the levels that add more flavor to the experience. You can find costumes that act as skins that let you change Drev's appearance, a fun little way to personalize your journey. On top of that, there are shards of stained glass you can collect to complete full pieces of artwork, and props scattered around the game that give extra bits of lore. If you're someone who loves digging into a game's world, these are a great bonus. And speaking of world building, this game nails it. There are hundreds of NPCs across the game, and it honestly feels like almost every single one of them has unique dialogue. What really blew me away though is the setting itself. The entire game is designed to look like it's taking place on handcrafted stage sets, and it's gorgeous. It gave me hardcore Yoshi's Crafted World vibes. The way everything feels like a live theater performance, from the backgrounds to the transitions, totally pulled me in. And that level of immersion is something I didn't expect going in. The soundtrack, spot on. It leans heavily into the stage play vibe, lots of piano, dramatic crescendos, and a theatrical flair that fits the tone of the game perfectly. And what really stood out to me aside from the soundtrack is the sound effects. From the creak of wooden platforms to the clack of gears turning and the way scenes snap into place, it all feels deliberate and rich. The audio design does a great job making the world feel alive and physical. Now that I've talked about everything I loved about the game, it's time to get into some of the problems. First up, the bugs. Throughout my playthrough, I ran into maybe a dozen or so glitches. About half of them forced me to restart from the last checkpoint. Things like falling through the floor or clipping through a wall. Nothing game breaking yet, thankfully, but definitely annoying. The kind of stuff where you sigh, reload, and try not to touch that part of the map again. Next, and by far the biggest issue though for me, is the platforming itself. Since this is a 2.5D game, you're moving not just left and right, but also toward and away from the camera. The problem is, the camera mostly stays fixed in one spot, which makes sense for the whole stage theme, but it absolutely wrecks your sense of depth. There were so many moments where I tried to land a single jump, only to completely miss the platform because I couldn't tell how close or far away I was. This wasn't a one-time thing either. It happened constantly throughout the game. I'd end up dying half a dozen times in a row on what should have been easy platforming, just because the angle made it hard to judge where I was. I do also have to mention the performance, at least on the Switch, which is the version I played. From what I could tell, the game caps out at like 30 frames per second. It often stutters and chugs below that even too. The slowdown is pretty noticeable early on, and while you do adjust over time, it's hard to ignore, especially when you're in more visually intense scenes. Loading times are also on the longer side, not unbearable, but enough to make transitions feel a little bit sluggish. What makes it more disappointing is that I've seen gameplay from other platforms, and it runs way smoother elsewhere. That kind of bummed me out because it feels like Switch players are getting a clearly inferior version. That said, in the game's defense, it's doing a lot. There's so much happening on screen at times. Lighting effects, environmental animations, set transitions. It's ambitious and visually dense, which might be part of why the Switch struggles to keep up. Still, the performance issues are definitely worth noting. Now, how long does the game take to beat? For me, it took about 5 hours to reach the end, and that was without 100%ing it. I tried to collect as much as I could along the way, but a lot of stuff must be pretty well hidden because I didn't even come close to grabbing everything. I'd estimate I maybe got around 70% of the collectibles. If you're someone who wants to 100% it, the game does let you track your collectible progress by chapter, and you can replay any chapter to go back and find what you missed. So if you're aiming for full completion, you're probably looking at around 7 to 10 hours. My final verdict is that Once Upon a Puppet is a flawed but very memorable experience. The phenomenal story, unique setting, and creative gameplay mechanics and world building do manage to overshadow the game's rougher edges. But make no mistake, the imprecise controls, low frame rate, and numerous bugs in the Switch version can absolutely be deal breakers for some players. And that's totally fair. If performance is a concern for you, I'd recommend skipping the current Switch version. That said, I was personally able to look past the technical flaws and appreciate the game for what it tried to be. A bold, imaginative indie title with stunning visuals, haunting undertones, and one of the most compelling stories I've experienced in recent memory. With a patch or two, this game could easily go from a bearable indie to an absolute hidden gem. For now, it's worth playing if you can look past the flaws, or if you can play it on a stronger platform. And that wraps up today's review of Once Upon a Puppet. If you enjoyed today's review, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more weekly indie reviews. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Starzard, out.